Welcome on stage, Johanna Gallo. She's the CEO and co-founder of A Planet. Alberto Martinez, CEO and co-founder of Streamloots. And Enrique Penichet, the founding partner of Draper V1. Thank you for being here. The first thing we're going to do is watch a short clip of a short documentary that Draper V1 participated on, Failure and Mistakes.
Okay.
Do we have the clip?
It was so hard to record it. I
Right.
hope they have it.
You will see that Alberto participated. Actually, Enrique did too.
Yeah, well, I was not in the hard part.
No.
He was in the production part.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly, only the interview part.
Yeah, exactly.
Convincing
But
entrepreneurs.
I went there just to, you know,
Give them
Emo-
moral
emotional
support.
yeah,
support.
more support. So I actually went to the top of the mountain. So.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Well, anyway, to give you a quick overview of what we are going to discuss before the clip is on, we're obviously going to see something that is a key part of entrepreneurship, a key part of the entrepreneur's journey, which is failing up, making mistakes, fucking up, basically overcoming things that happen along the way and that, well, nobody had it in mind, right? Nobody had planned for those. So I think that we're ready to watch the video.
okay. Here.
Fue un fallo muy gordo.
No fuimos capaces de vender nada.
Habíamos creado algo que nadie quería, ¿no?
Ha sido una pelea constante.
Cuando empiezas, no sabes dónde vas.
Ahí estuvimos trabajando sin descanso y la verdad que no fuimos capaces de generar ni un solo euro.
No tenía ningún conocimiento de criptomonedas, no soy financiero, no soy desarrollador de software.
Nosotros fuimos directamente a los venture capital más importantes sin tener absolutamente nada de documentación preparada.
Estuvimos como 4 meses desarrollando la aplicación, lanzamos, nos quedamos así mirando pues, la página de analítica en la que venían los usuarios y yo creo que no entró ni mi padre.
Mi mayor error creo que fue lanzar un producto al mercado sin saber si realmente había alguien interesado en él.
No calibrar bien tus compañeros de viaje.
Llegar tarde a entregas, no desarrollar en tiempo lo que pensábamos desarrollar, no ofrecer a los clientes lo que queríamos ofrecerles.
Con Draper nos decían, oye, pero antes de lanzar un producto, intenta entender qué quiere el usuario, ¿no? Y nosotros con nuestra mente de programador era, no, pues, lanzamos esta plataforma que es la leche, lo va a petar, y pues no pasó eso, ¿no? Y fue por nuestro primer encontronazo con, oye, no, esta plataforma no la está utilizando nadie. Yo recuerdo bastante duro, porque era un proceso en el que nosotros todos los días dedicábamos muchísimas horas a intentar que funcionase y que no veíamos cómo el modelo estaba funcionando. Y además, claro, en ese momento te entra como muchísimo miedo a fracasar.
Mi mayor error ha sido no dejarme aconsejar.
El primer error creo que sería no cuidar más a tu equipo, que es el alma del proyecto. El segundo error te diría que puede ser escuchar demasiado a los demás. Mi padre es psicólogo, ¿no? Y cuando decidí dejarlo todo el mundo de arquitectura, para empezar a arrancar en el mundo de las criptomonedas, me pidió si por favor podía ir a un amigo suyo que era psicólogo. Yo accedí, obviamente, para que mi padre no se pensara que estaba loco. Y bueno, básicamente acabó comprando criptomonedas, ¿no? Creo que el fracaso es un tema tabú en España. Si miramos Estados Unidos, por ejemplo, es todo lo contrario. Parece que cuantas más veces hayas fracasado, más interesante eres como perfil.
Draper no tiene miedo al fracaso y es el primero que te anima a hacer apuestas, a tomar riesgos, para poder mejorar y seguir creciendo.
Esto no deja de ser como el método científico. O sea, tú haces la hipótesis, la pruebas y sale bien o sale mal, y entonces recoges los datos y reformulas una nueva hipótesis que la vuelves a probar, ¿no?
Cuando nadie creía en nosotros, ellos fueron los que realmente apostaron por nuestro proyecto y han estado siempre al pie del cañón con nosotros.
Mi mejor error es equivocarme cada día, probando cosas nuevas, porque creo que ese es el camino para aprender.
All right. Now that we know what we're talking about, I would like to start asking Kike, why did Draper V1 decided to participate in this project? Why is it relevant to talk about mistakes?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is this is just a teaser, so it's a
Yeah.
short version of the short
Actually, you
video
can
film.
scan the QR and access the whole document.
Because the thing is that the production, that is microfilms, approached us because they wanted to do a short film about entrepreneurship. And as we have many companies, invested a lot of entrepreneurs in our portfolio, and so on, we said, okay, why not? And look really interesting. For them, it was a project that they went them to cinema festivals and try to distribute and everything. And so it was kind of like, yeah, and for us, might be also good exposure, so why not? But then when the production came and started asking questions to the people, is when they started to think about what was going to be the theme and the argument. And so that's when they came and said, we want to talk about failure. And we said, what? Failure? And they say, yeah, because looks like you talk about failure, like really easy, it's just part of the process and so on. But we come from another part of the social life and the culture where failure is look like, okay, you are a loser, right?
Right.
And so that's why. That's how this started and was focusing on failure. That actually for us in the lab, we started as an accelerator in 2009, and then we became venture capital. But in the accelerator, and we work with Streamloots there, it was all about it. I mean, it was all about trying new things and then improve and try another time new things.
Well, I think that it's pretty clear for absolutely everyone in here that when you want to drive innovation and generate new ideas and new businesses, failure is going to happen. Why do you think that it's relevant to discuss mistakes openly?
I think that's something that I've learned probably at Boost VC, that in order to create a safe environment for people to try, you need to empower, encourage mistakes. Actually, it's rewarding mistake. It's not that you reward people for making mistakes, but you reward people for sharing the mistake. In Streamloots, actually, we have something we call the F Awards, and we award every year the biggest mistake done that year. I've won it twice already.
Can you tell us for why each time? Why?
Yes, one time I make a mistake with a discount coupon, so we lost like $10K in 1 hour.
Okay. Pretty big
Yes,
mistake.
and the previous mistake was that the marketing team was preparing like a marketing campaign for like a whole month, and I tweeted about it the day before it because I thought it was it was already released. So the whole marketing team was like trying to push me out of the company. Yeah, but I think something we've done in Streamloots is that we make mistake a team theme. So inside your team, inside your squad, as an individual, if you make a mistake, you take responsibility, you try to learn from the mistake.
Right.
But outside that team, that was a team mistake. So no one knows who is the individual that committed the mistake. So you feel safe to innovate, and you feel safe to try new things that have never been tried before.
That's actually a good thing to take out of here. We are a team, even though somebody may make a mistake, as a team, we accept it as part of our job.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Interesting. I don't know if you guys have read the recent Global Entrepreneurship Monitor report here in Spain. It says that 42% of entrepreneurs say that fear of failure is actually something that has inhibited them from starting up before or starting up with the will and the motivation that they wanted. Have you guys suffered that? Is fear of failure something that has stopped you along the way?
Yes, sometimes, because you feel the pressure. What will happen, and not only with you, is you have a team with you and you have many persons with you, so you feel this pressure, of course.
Extra pressure for
Yeah, but if you work as a team, and also you have to think how, if this failure will impact many people or not, and give it a try. And always, like, if you have the passion to do something, so this fear will disappear.
Also, it's like failure doesn't even exist. If you are on social media and you follow startups, you only see success. Like you only see investment round, recruitments, acquisitions, but you never see someone talking, hey, I had to lay off part of my company and I spent the whole week crying.
Right.
Or I woke up in the night because I have to tell the investors that they are going to lose money. You don't see that. And then you feel really lonely. I believe everyone building a startup has always gone through those difficult situations, but it looks like they doesn't exist because people don't talk about them.
Sharing is important, no? Because everybody will know
Visibility, yeah,
what is
definitely.
happening. Yeah, and sometimes they share, but it's like with a positive thing.
Yeah.
After that, it's like, oh, I have this problem, but now we are doing great. It's not, we have this problem, this failure, and that's it.
And I'm fact.
Yeah, and that's it.
No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really hard for the CEO sometimes because those are the things that
Right.
they have to actually eat by themselves, sleep by themselves, and at the same time, I mean, you realize that it's part of the process. You have to try, you fail, you have to try, but at the same time, it's part of fighting your self-esteem. Like, okay, I really thought this was going to work. We have all this team, all these hours, all this effort. What did I did wrong this time, right?
Yeah, I guess that being humble is a key part of accepting that you made a mistake. You have to openly discuss it in order to learn something and take something positive out of that experience. Do you feel that being the CEO and the co-founders and CEO in both of your cases is actually something that you feel extra?
Yeah, because you have your team with you, and sometimes you feel alone sometimes.
Right.
It's like, with who should I share this pressure that I have, or this feeling of advice from somebody? It's like, if I fuck this up, it's like all will come to me. But yeah, I think the thing that you have to do is to share, to find somebody to share what you are thinking, what are you going to do, to get advice, and to feel that you are part of something, that you are not alone.
Yeah, and sometimes it's like you don't want to share. Let's say you are talking with investors and you have a lot of no's, and you don't want to share those news with the team because you feel that the team is going to be sad and things like that. So you keep everything for yourself. And sometimes it's like you feel lonely or you spend a lot of money in a therapist. But I've learned that in my case, I have other co-founders, so I've learned that sharing my pain with other co-founders actually help, and they feel also you so vulnerable to the team, and then the team feel all the
Supports you
application
back.
back to you.
Yeah, at the same time that I'm at the other part of the phone,
Right.
it's kind of like, as we are really early stage investor, when things go a little bit farther, our companies know that we are not actually going to allocate more money because we are not late stage investors, but we are still in the cap table and we have a really nice relation. So sometimes we became kind of like this, guy to call when you have a problem and you don't know who else to talk with. Because, I mean, they are not selling to us because we are not going to do a new follow-on anyway. So it's kind of like, part of like priest, therapist, or whatever you might call it.
Enrique called me after every board meeting because in the board I left the investor to talk. I say, hey, do you know what they say about you, about streaming? So he's like my confidant after
Exactly,
the board
say
meeting.
insider trading in the...
We make jokes about double agents.
Makes sense. And actually, I think that each one of you mentioned a different type of support. You mentioned your team, your co-founder, being on the investor side. Obviously, you are invested in the company, even though the follow-up investment is not going to be something for you. But it's interesting to see how each one of us looks for support in wherever we can find it.
Yeah, it's important. I have a co-founder as well, so yeah, it's like we feel that we can discuss together the things and be more open. But also with the team, it's important to be humble and to recognize that, okay, I did this error and we are human and we learn from it. The important thing is the message, no? It's not like it's something negative, it's something to learn and to apply in the future and to do it better.
Do you think that that's something that you want your company's culture to be impregnated with, that wants to be part of how everyone behaves in the company?
Yeah, for sure. We are very open to this, and also we make it a team thing. It's like we are all together into this, and we have the same objective, so we have to share with each other, yes.
Right.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm thinking just loud, right? When you have this trouble that you thought and you get the pressure, the things are not going like they should be, and then you get all that pressure on you. Sometimes I feel that if you pass and share that pressure with the team, you ended up putting the team under pressure that you didn't want the team to be in that position, in that right moment.
Right. I guess that you have to build that type of relationship and culture where exactly people accept and don't feel the extra pressure.
It's the exact amount of pressure.
Exactly.
That is
how to
difficult.
balance that.
Yeah. Sometimes you also have to keep things for yourself because to keep this balance is difficult. Yeah.
Alberto, you mentioned before about how on social media and communications, basically everybody only speaks about success, not failures. And I was thinking about the Instagramization of life, right? Everybody's so handsome on their social media, things like that. And I wanted to ask you, the three of you actually, do you think that now that we're starting to see a lot of down rounds, large companies laying off a big amount of employees, do you think that this is going to help open up the conversation around not only failure, but also hard times that every company faces?
Probably. Actually, there are a few organizations already, like Ancla in Spain, that are talking about the path to become an entrepreneur, and people is actually explaining their path without like the extra flavor of a pink side. And I think that's gonna be positive for eliminating the taboo about failure. I believe something that happened, especially here in Spain, is that we associate failure with failure in a project with a personal failure. Like you are a failure yourself. And I see now that when we went to Boost VC, it was the other way around. Like investors were asking, like, but have you ever tried to build a company before? Have you ever failed before? And it was actually a positive thing to have, like something in your CV. Yes, I failed and I burned 8 million. And I was like, really? He's saying that in the pitch? And so and investors were actually rewarding those people because like you failed, so now you have better tools and better skills to put my money into work. So I believe it is going to change, probably not only because the downturn, but because founders are starting to talk more openly about that.
And do you guys think that here in Spain we are starting to see that culture shift, that we are finally more able to discuss openly about mistakes? Is it something that you guys are noticing or not yet?
I think, no, I mean, you just mentioned that, social networks, everyone is kind of like putting this.
Bragging,
this other life, right? Not the real life.
Right.
And I think even so also in the entrepreneurship world, it's happening kind of like that way. The people only shows to the world the good thing, the best things on the company, and try to project an image that is not actually the real image that is happening inside the company. But that happens also in the US. When you talk to when you talk to some US founders, looks like, wow, what a company. And then you get the numbers and you say, wow, I have like 20 in my portfolio, much better than this one, right? So I think it's something that is impacting generally in the culture, just to give your best face picture, right?
Present yourself in the best way possible to the world. But do you think that, since we have just agreed that culture shift is not happening yet in Spain, what can we do? What can each one of us do to actually help promote it, put it into motion?
I think sharing, because we all have mistakes.
Speaking up, right?
Yeah. So it's like be open and share what happened, and when you share your failures, don't say, but then at the end, no, it's like, that was a failure and that's it.
fucked up.
And this is what I learned from it, and that's it. So we have this, we have to share what happened with us, and also share inside the team, outside, in bigger forums. So yeah, this is our responsibility also.
So being outspoken about it, it's... Alberto, what do you think?
In my case, I would say that also take it with humor, because it helps you calibrate how important the mistake is. Sometimes when you make the mistake, you feel it's going to have horrible consequences. But the truth is that you can solve the mistake in 99% of the cases in 1 hour, and in 2 weeks later, you won't even remember that mistake. So if you share it with humor, like we have the F awards and things like that, then people calibrate. And also, if you are a founder or a CEO, your actions create culture. So if people in your team see that you are actually sharing with humor, like, hey, I made the mistake, I lost 10K, people is like, okay, I'm gonna do it again. So if you take it with humor, I think it's gonna be easier to share.
Yeah, I will add, like, I hate actually the culture of fake it until you make it.
Right.
Okay? Because this ended up in big lies, like small lie, big lie, and some people even ended in jail because of that. So it's kind of like, okay, just try to actually be sincere and have your real face to everyone, and so you can improve of the feedback of everyone.
So being outspoken with humor, and then being humble, being open about.
Don't lie in a lie.
Exactly. Don't live a lie, for sure. I wanted to ask the entrepreneur side of the panel. Is there any advice, anything that if an aspiring entrepreneur or somebody in a very, very early stage development of their companies came to you and asked you for advice, what would you say? What would be your recommendation?
I will repeat the humor thing. I think actually one of our values is that we take humor seriously. And I think because humor helps you so vulnerable to the team. And when you show vulnerabilities to the team, they feel close to you, so they come to you to tell you to talk about their problems, their mistakes. I think something worse than a mistake is that you make a mistake and no one knows, and then shout up somehow, and the mistake is way bigger. If you show vulnerability to the team, then your team is going to go to you and feel free to speak, to tell them, hey, I make this mistake, how can I solve that mistake? So I believe that's the best thing, the best recommendation.
So in our case, some advice that we give is that you are going to fail. Is
accepted,
natural.
exactly.
So you are human, and this will happen. You are not perfect, and this will happen at any time. But the thing that you have to do, and it's similar that you say, is like calibrate. No, it's like there are like smaller mistakes that they will have small consequences. So just do it, because if you are with fear, like, oh, I will commit this mistake, no, it's like you will be paralyzed somehow. So it's like just do it, but then be able to identify also the mistakes that will have bigger consequences. And for this is like talk, speak with people, get some advice, also read, and have some plan B, C, D to be prepared in case you fail. And then just do it and assume you have these plans to support you, but do it anyway. But if you are worried about everything at the same scale, the smallest mistake and the biggest mistake, you won't be doing anything at the end of the day.
Definitely.
Yeah. I would say, like, find people that is been there, done that, because then if you start talking to them, you will realize that most of your problems, mistakes, and challenges that you have, many other people have it.
Right. So. I think that actually that's something that in Spain we are lacking a little bit. We are lagging behind, and it's the role model effect. Have people who are definitely known for having been through hard times with their companies, with their startups and their projects, and being able to access those people and share your doubts, or share your concerns, and anything that is on your mind. That's the type I wanted to ask you specifically. Being an investor, you're on the other side of the conversation. When an entrepreneur comes to you, for example, with like Alberto you mentioned before, what type of advice do you offer them?
I mean, the thing is that if they are transparent and sincere, you can actually try to help them.
Right.
And try to find those people that actually been there, done that, so they can talk and share those thoughts and try to look forward for the next step. And with the inputs that you have now, then make a better future with all that knowledge that you already have. But if they actually treat the investor as a client that they don't want to know anything that is actually happening inside the company, then, I mean, you only realize that things are not going well when you go to bankrupt directly.
Right.
It's like, okay, I thought the company was doing great. You told me it was doing great. And now we are filing a bankrupt. So I think that's the thing. It's kind of like, okay, try to actually be transparent.
And the entrepreneurs also, the companies, we are losing an opportunity because we have a good advisor in business, and so, yeah.
Definitely. Is it something that you guys have experienced? Sorry, I know that you guys all have experienced failure, but I wanted to actually just be closing the session and asking you, is it only a mistake when we don't learn anything from it? How would you describe a mistake now that you've been through it so many times and that you have actually taken something out of the process?
I think that even calling mistakes is actually a mistake, because at the end, when you are making a decision, you make the best decision with the information that you have at that moment. Later, maybe that decision have a bad outcome, but it's not a mistake, it's actually a decision with a bad outcome. I believe that you should always try to learn from the mistakes, but maybe sometimes you cannot learn, and that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be trying and be open for mistakes. Even if you try something that doesn't work and you don't learn anything from that, you at least are learning that didn't work, so you don't replicate it again. So I would say that you don't need to be like obcecated on looking for the learning. Just be open to commit mistake. If you are able to extract the learning, the better.
Yeah, I agree. It's like we learn from everything that we do, the bad things, good things, everything. And also in A Planet, we are always learning of everything. And also my personal life is every opportunity is for you to learn. So it's not a mistake, it's not only learning or no, also the good things. But I think that the bad part of this story is do it again and again.
Right.
You have to internalize what has happened and do better the next time.
Yeah, I think you learn much more about the problems and the mistakes than actually the things that just went well in the first try. I remember when Streamloots was like growing like crazy during the COVID, and it's kind of like we didn't even know why we were growing.
Right.
And
You shouldn't be telling this. There are investors here. We knew exactly the growth level.
but then, when all this push of the market went out, then we actually learned the growth levers to keep that growth going. So it's kind of like, yeah, when you actually see problems, things not going as they were or as they should, is when you put the effort, you try to understand all the outputs, and then you can actually make a new path.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I think that at least I am taking a few good notes to take home and reflect upon. So thank you for your
Thank you.
for
Thank
your
you for
insights.
Thanks to you.
Thank you.